arm down, and then you go.
Well, the day when I learned that Chris Hemrick was going to be leaving was a day that I would never forget. He told me he had much to teach me still, and I was initially kind of awestruck. Like, I'm so awesome, I had learned everything. But, you know, there was much that I'd been prepared for, but there was some things that he said that I'll just never forget. And most of it is regarding this book. He handed me this book with a very pained look in his eyes, and he said, "Read this book intently." And he said it with the kind of urgency that made me realize that there was something really important here. It was strange. I kind of felt excited and also had a sense of fear at the same time. And so later, I learned that this book, after Chris had moved on and I kind of assumed the position, I realized that this book was handed down from youth pastor to youth pastor at South Shore Baptist Church. And then I realized the great urgency and immediacy of me reading this book. So it's an old leather-bound book, and you know what the title of this book is? It's so old that it wore off. It says, "The History of Mission Impossible." And as I read, I gain new insight into this game that we play every year at Camp Cod. But did you know that this game was not initially called Mission Impossible? It was first called, and this is, you might laugh at this, but the game was originally based on the 1940s radio show, Spies and the Gospel. Another interesting fact, before the widespread availability of flashlights, the way that they used to play, they used to take torches and try and light the left pant leg of the student on fire. But, you know, this kind of play, the traditional method of Mission Impossible, you know, left people in some precarious situations. It also, as I read in this book, it led to us leaving Camp Shiloh because of some negative consequences. And thankfully, there have been some evolution in the rules since that point. So as I continued to read this wonderful book, I found that a page was missing. You know, pages 34 and 36, as I can see here, they had been glued together in an effort to prevent the reader from noticing this portion, this very important portion. But using my secret youth pastor power, I was able to read a small portion. And it was the account of a student known only as NF and his strategies for the game of Mission Impossible.
Okay.
It is here that our story begins. I sat down with Matt Cox from South Shore Baptist Youth Group.
I'm here with Matthew Cox from South Shore Baptist's youth group. Matt, do you mind if I call you Matt?
That's fine, man.
Now, you're a leader, correct?
I am.
And how long have you been with South Shore Baptist's youth group?
As a leader, probably about 10 years, and then 6 years as a student before then.
Oh, really? You were a student before?
I was indeed.
Oh, so you must have excellent insight to give as both a leader and as a student into this Mission Impossible game.
Ah, yes, Mission Impossible.
Matt, did you ever experience this NF character?
NF. Now, I haven't heard that name or initials in years. I do actually have a story for you about NF. One time, probably my sophomore year in high school, walking through the woods playing Mission Impossible, I see a tree.
Yes.
Carved into the tree are just the words, "Leaders Lie," signed NF. And there were whispers throughout the youth group at the time from the students of an NF character that, may have beaten this Mission Impossible game. And, it gave us great hope. And the initials, seeing that carved on the tree, it almost bolstered me in the game. Now, unfortunately for me in my story, I had leaders like Joey P. that came by and very quickly just dismissed the whole story and
That must have been absolutely heartbreaking.
it doused my hope, man. It was really just, it was awful. It made me, it probably made me the leader I am today, that I don't like I don't let students get even close to the flag, and it really just made me bitter.
That's a terrible, terrible story. Matt, I appreciate the interview.
This
Hey, thank you,
NF
man.
character really made me think. Could it be possible that this Mission Impossible could really be Mission Possible? We sat down and we looked through the records of all the campers that had ever gone to Camp Cod with the initials NF. We found this man first. We assumed he was guilty, because, I mean, look at him.
How's it going?
Yes, sir. Where were you in September of 1956?
September of 1956. Not even born yet.
Okay.
We may have been wrong. So we started to look for more appropriate age people. We found a man by the name of Norman Federhoff. Norman agreed to meet with us on the condition that we would not show his face.
Set, go.
So, Mr. NF, why are you afraid? Why can't we show your face?
Why do you think? I've spent the last 2 years in Bolivia. I picked up and moved at a moment's notice. I had a life, kids, career. The next thing I know, Pastor Jeremy's at my door. I feared for my life.
So, if you're so scared, why say anything now?
I need the world to know. It's time students had hope. Leaders can be beat. The secret is...
Beep!